locally produced farm radio show with agricultural news, information, interviews, in-depth weather, and more. It's Terry Henne and his Farm Show on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com.
A mostly sunny good morning to you. I hope your day is going well for you, wherever you might be. Jonathan Dent sitting in for Terry Henne today. Terry will be back with us tomorrow. We'll actually both be out on remote at the Saginaw Valley Research and Extension Center. As I mentioned, I hope your day is going well for you. Before we get going here on the Farm Show, let's find out how their day is going over in New York. And to do that, we say good morning to Steve Anderson from Baird & Company. Steve, good morning.
And good morning, Jonathan.
How are things going in New York?
Quite well, I would say. We've got the Dow Jones Industrial Average ahead by 237 points, putting it at 34,496. Volume is 278 million shares. NASDAQ's ahead by 168 at 13,929. Volume there is 402 million shares.
All right. Do you have any tips for us today?
I do. Given the recent rise in interest rates that has caused issues for people that have bonds and bond funds, it does present an opportunity for people who still have and are keeping a lot of money in their money market account or their bank account in cash. You should double check and see what the interest rate that is being given to you in those. Some of those accounts are still paying, well, less than 1%, let's say 0.4, 0.5, 0.2, just depending on the one. There are CDs, there are other money market type accounts and other bank type accounts that have interest rates up pushing into the 5% range. You've got CDs that would go out perhaps as far as 2 years. Corporate bonds also kind of in the same range. That's a great big difference between 0.5% and 5%. So if you've got a lot of money stuck in those instruments, it pays to talk to somebody, take a look at what your other alternatives are, and see if you can't meet your safety requirements, pick up additional yield without a bunch of additional risk.
And if anybody out there wants to talk with someone from Baird & Company, how can they do that?
Well, you call us right here at Baird & Company in Saginaw. The telephone number is 989-790-5724. That's Saginaw. Midlands, 989-839-9035. And you can find us on the web at rwbaird, that's BAIRD.com. And then all of the reps and all of the branches have their own website that you can dig us up there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Steve. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. Steve Anderson from Baird & Company giving us our ticker tip of the day and our stock update in New York. We'll have a little bit more on the Chicago markets in just a little while. But first, let's take a look at our weather. It's shaping up to be another pretty nice day. We had a little bit of a shaky afternoon yesterday. Today, we're looking at a little bit cooler of a day. We had 81 degrees for a high yesterday. Better chance, at least here in the Great Lakes Bay region, of seeing some precipitation. Some of our neighbors to the south did get a little bit. Out east, we had some severe weather, but it was mostly high winds and even a little bit of hail spotted. Not too much in the way of precipitation. There was a brief threat of tornadoes, but again, the highest total precipitation totals we saw were mostly south of us. Ann Arbor, 1/2 inch, Detroit, 3/10. We expect to see a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity here today, but that'll mostly be later on in the day and into the evening hours. Right now, out at the airport, we're looking at 69 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Downtown Midlands looking at 69. Here at Radio Center, 68 degrees, calm winds, barometric pressure falling. Right now it's at 30 even. And that humidity number that we've been looking at, a little bit higher than what we saw yesterday. Right now we're at 62%. As I mentioned, we're looking at that shower activity moving across the state west to east throughout the day today. Our best chance for some precipitation will be later this afternoon into the evening hours. coming out of mostly Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. That's where it's set up right now. It will be moving into western Michigan. Our friends out to the west and the south here in Michigan will see the better part of that precipitation with totals closer to 1 inch. Here in the Great Lakes Bay region, mid-Michigan region, we do expect an average of around a half inch, maybe up to 3/4 of an inch. Some of us might see up to an inch. Very good coverage, but in terms of totals, hard to say at this point. It's been changing almost hourly here. But what we can say pretty confidently is that our friends in northern Michigan won't be seeing too much like we will here in mid-Michigan. Not super severe. We will see some high winds, but that'll mostly be, again, into this evening and maybe even carrying over a little bit into tomorrow. A high of 78 for today, down to around 62 overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, whatever's left of those showers and thunderstorms should start to clear off. Still a slight chance of getting some rain until mid-afternoon when we'll see the sun once again. That should push us up to around 78 for a high. Thursday night, we drop to around 58, but we'll hit that 80-degree mark on Friday with some sparse shower and thunderstorm activity later in the day and overnight, even continuing on into Saturday morning. 84 for a high on Saturday, then a partly cloudy Sunday with temperatures into the mid-80s once again. The chance for some scattered showers kind of sticks with us into the beginning of next week, into the work week next week as well. And looking at our long-range outlook, it's not going to hurt us to have a little bit of scattered shower activity. Very scattered, though, very sparse. Today and into tonight, tomorrow morning, this system that's moving across is our best chance for some organized system moving through for a little bit here. So hopefully we get the most out of it that we can. That long-range outlook takes us through July 25th. We're looking at near normal temperatures. Our average high for this time of year is around 83 degrees. We are looking at slightly below average precipitation. Hopefully, we can squeeze as much moisture out of these scattered showers that we're going to see over the next week or so as possible. Record high on this date, 105 degrees, set back in that 1936, that 1930s decade we've been talking about pretty consistently here this month. Very hot decade there. I believe it was something like 14 or something of the high temperatures that we've seen in July coming out of that 1930s decade. Record low for this date, 46 degrees, set back in 2002. We're not in any danger of hitting that here today. Sun will set this evening at 9:17, rise tomorrow morning at 6:07. When we come back, Cody Harris from Star of the West will give us a little bit of an update on what's going on the grain markets, then a little bit more in-depth on the Chicago markets. We'll talk with Doug Klein from Oppenheimer. All of that's ahead, but first, the weather report today brought to you by the folks at Nutrien Ag Solutions.
Nutrien Ag Solutions has the local expertise to recommend the corn, soybean, and other seed products that are the best fit for your field. Plus, unparalleled agronomic support with products and services to unlock yield potential and improve crop performance from planting to harvest. Ask about our financing options to help you get more from every acre and lead the field. Visit your local Nutrien Ag Solutions branch or go to nutrienagsolutions.com.
They say there's a secret to growing a great crop. At Nutrien Ag Solutions, they beg to differ. It all starts with a strong foundation, and when it comes to fertilizer, there's no question that Titan XE drives dry fertilizer performance. They've been unlocking the potential in every prill of dry fertilizer with biocatalyst technology for over a decade. Visit lpi.ag/Titan or contact your Nutrien Ag Solutions crop consultant to drive your crop's potential today. The Michael Sarr Crop Insurance Agency. They're licensed to serve all of Michigan with both conventional and organic crop insurance. But you can reach their agents directly on their cell phones for questions or emergencies, or you can call the office in downtown Reese. It's 989-868-4722. Risk management, it's all about protecting yourself against the bad things, taking advantage of the good things. You can do all of that and more by working with the folks at the Michael Sarr Crop Insurance Agency.
Let's slide on over to Star of the West now. That's where we find Cody Harris on this Wednesday morning. Cody, good morning.
Good morning, Jonathan. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are things doing on the markets?
Well, we got a little bit of a mixed board here today, Jonathan. Seems like soybeans are definitely the strength here this morning. They're up in the teens, but corn and wheat right now, they're kind of taking it a little bit. Those are both in the red, just slightly, but still down here today. I guess looking at everything right now, we have cash wheat, that's down 7, 618 on the white, 568 on the red. New crop 24 wheat, that's down 2 at the moment, 680 on the white, 620 on the red. Look over at corn. Cash corn is down 4 at 495. New crop corn, that's down 4 as well at 437. Then looking over at soybeans, cash soybeans are up 16 at 1497, and new crop soybeans are up 14 at 1309.
So I checked out the markets a little bit earlier, and I thought we were going to have some good news. I saw some green. Did we start out positive this morning and then take a turn?
Yeah, I would say kind of at the open here this morning, corn and wheat were kind of just slightly kind of fighting, being a little bit positive. Corn was definitely a little positive longer than wheat was. It kind of slowly kind of fell here as the session went on here today. And that's mostly because we have the USDA July WASDE report coming out at noon this time. So I think you're seeing some traders maybe set up for maybe a little more fireworks than expected, taking some risk off the board. Looks like maybe some numbers as far as yield, maybe taking a reduction as well as a total crop number and ending stocks with corn. So I think that's where you're seeing a little bit of the activity, just trying to set up for that report, just take a little bit of risk off the board for what the USDA reports here at noon.
All right. And one last question here. What have you seen for the wheat harvest so far?
Well, I'll say the last couple of days, yesterday was definitely a really active day here in the Saginaw Valley region. Wheat crop continues to look pretty good around our neck of the woods as far as quality-wise. Need to start asking some guys what they're looking at yield, but everyone's more pleasantly surprised, especially with that dry weather we had kind of last month and a half or so. But it definitely seems like we're trying to race some of the moisture here nowadays. It's kind of funny how that flips here the last couple of weeks, but so far everything's looking pretty good, I would say, as far as harvest concerns. We're just kind of, I would say, maybe getting into the heat of it right now, as everyone's really, crops really starting to turn, wheat's looking good, but it's just kind of a spread out, drawn out harvest. It seems like a lot of different varieties in the maturity of that wheat kind of across the region, but everything's looking good so far here, Jonathan.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll keep an eye out for that report, and we look forward to talking with you again. Well, I guess you'll be talking with us next week, but we'll talk with Gary on Friday. All right. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too, Jonathan. Thank you.
All right. Cody Harris from Star of the West. We'll head over to Oppenheimer and talk with Doug Klein. The market report today brought to you by Schaefer and Beerline. This is the best time of year because the new Ram truck inventory is here at Schaefer and Beerline in Frankenmuth. If you're in the market for a new Ram 1500, a Ram heavy-duty pickup, a ProMaster van, or a Ram commercial truck, and you want to buy with confidence from a dealer that knows what customer satisfaction truly is, it's time to go to Schaefer and Beerline in Frankenmuth, where family and service sells cars. Also by Thumb Bank and Trust, they've been making agricultural loans since 1895. They know farming today continues to offer many challenges that are very demanding. Thumb Bank and Trust helps you stay up to date on industry trends and the trends of your operation. Thumb Bank and Trust, now with 13 locations throughout the Thumb and in the Great Lakes Bay region. Thumb Bank and Trust, where relationships are built on trust. We say good morning to Doug Klein. Doug, how are things going today?
Well, things started out really good today, kind of cooling off. Inflation rose 0.2 in June. That was less than expected, but still at 2.4 annually, which is above the Fed's target of 2. Market kind of sort of thinks that maybe the Fed's going to take a pause on raising interest rates, sticking a knife in our back and twisting it a little bit. So we'll see if that's true. That's got precious metals pretty decent, 23 bucks on gold and 92 cents on silver. So silver's up 4%. So that's a big jump. You know, the stock market was up about 1%, 1.25% earlier. It's up about 0.5 to 0.75% now. So like I said, things are cooling just a little bit. We'll see. We got new highs on the S&P. Which I guess that's a good thing. And the NASDAQ hit, the NASDAQ Qs, the NASDAQ 100, that hit a new high today. So, like I said, you know, it's exciting at the top. We'll see where they go from here. So, anyway, so here's your numbers. September corn is 490, down 4.5. December corn is 497.5, down 4. The August soybeans, 1487, up 15.5. November soybeans 1373 and a quarter, up 13. September wheat is 653 and three quarters, down 6 3/4, and December wheat is 672 and a half. That's down 5.5. So the storage numbers came in for energy today, and it looked like it was in a kind of a build situation, especially for gasoline. But nonetheless, they are mostly up today. So crude oil 75.59, up 76 cents. Heating oil is 2.59 and a half, up a penny. Gasoline is 2.65 and a quarter, up 3 cents. Natural gas 2.61 and a half, down 7.5 cents. Over to currencies, well, the dollar's a lot weaker today because of the fact that we're maybe not going to see interest rate hikes. So the money is chasing over to places where there's maybe better interest rates to get. And so the euro is very high. So is the British pound. That's going to hurt their economy in the short term, long term, whatever. They need to manage their currency a little better and get it weaker. Like, I guess like the dollar's getting weaker because it's under 101 now, so it's like 100.60. So, anyways, Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar buys $1.3189 Canadian. That's down 41 ticks. The U.S. dollar buys 138.26 yen. That's down 211 ticks. That's huge. The euro's at 111.21. That's up 118 ticks. The dollar's at 100.60. That's down 113 ticks. Gold's at 1960.70. That's up 23.60 an ounce. Silver's 24.01, up 92.5 cents. Platinum is unchanged, 925.60.
All right, Doug, thank you very much. You have a good day.
All right, good luck out there.
You too. Doug Klein from Oppenheimer. We'll be right back with more after this.
Farm Service is being brought to you today by the folks at the Frankenmuth Credit Union. They can help with lines of credit, equipment loans, financing for purchasing land, credit cards, and more. Stop by and find out how they can be your hometown financial solution. Get more information by going to frankenmuthcu.org.
Attention car and truck shoppers. I'm Steve Cook from Cook Chevrolet in Vassar, and last month I told you about the all-new, bigger, and better Chevy Trax, incredibly selling for only $20,000. Well, the response was through the roof. They're selling as fast as they arrive. So this month, we're offering the opportunity for customers to reserve one that's already built before it gets here. And we're suggesting that for all Chevrolets. And don't just take my word for it. Drive by any Chevy dealerships. Lots are getting empty again. With Blazers now only $262 a month and Silverados up to $50 lower, you heard me right, lower than last month, inventories won't last long. If you're shopping for any new Chevy, reserve one today, only at Cook Chevrolet, M15 Top of the Hill in Vassar.
Payments based on GM employee and family lease, 10,000 miles per year and includes all rebates. $22.55 on Blazer, $23.84 on Silverado due at signing. Call or visit us online at cookchevysuperstore.com. Chevy, find new roads.
Farm Service brought to you today by the folks at Steiner Tractor Parts. New parts for old tractors made easy. So simple. All you have to do is call 800-234-3280 or go to steinertractor.com. Remember, they share your enthusiasm for your antique machine, and they know that you want to keep it running. That's why they take their job personally at Steiner Tractor Parts, because they understand your life and job both stop if your tractor stops running. Want to make that unit look really sharp this coming summer? Show it off a little bit at the shows? You can do that. Steiner Tractor. For more information, go to steinertractor.com.
We're back with you now. We're going to head over to Nutrien Ag. That's where we find Ed Benkert this morning. Ed, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jonathan. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good.
So, what are we seeing out in the fields right now? How are the crops doing?
Well, I mean, most of the mid-Michigan area has received varying levels of rain, which has really perked up the crop a lot. Some areas more than others, and in particular, where it's still a little on the dry side, our locations around the Bay are seeing some soybean aphids, which is kind of interesting. We haven't really had to deal with soybean aphids in quite a long time in Michigan, and some of them are above threshold levels where we're actually doing some spraying. And, with it potentially staying dry. I'd be on the lookout for spider mites and soybeans, and also get out in those fields and do some tissue samples, even if they look healthy. There could be some hidden hunger going on in the bean or corn or sugar beet or dry bean crops. And as we're going across the field, it allows us an opportunity to add some manganese or boron or multiple nutritional products with potentially fungicides to keep the crop moving in the right direction.
Are we seeing a lot in terms of weeds?
So that's a good question. I mean, these soybeans with the delayed emergence, some growers sprayed 2 weeks ago-ish, and the beans are starting to canopy where they're big. But I would really have growers go back out in those fields that were sprayed 2-3 weeks ago. With these rains, a lot of our post products don't offer a lot of residual unless they threw some in. So there could be another flush coming, in particular where there's still sunlight getting down between the rows. So don't assume you're good. Get out and walk those fields and take a look. And then there are still people that waited that are spraying as we speak. So again, walk the fields. Don't assume anything. Don't scout from the road. And then you won't have any surprises come August, September, when usually those late flushes of pigweeds usually poke through those soybeans.
Good advice, Ed. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Ed Bankert from Nutrien Ag Solutions. Part of the reason I asked him about the weeds there is recently Michigan State University hosted their Weed Day. Michigan Ag Today's Eric Pfeiffer was out there, and he spoke with Dr. Christy Sprague.
We really, over the last several years, have really tried to get growers to move towards using a pre-emergence herbicide, because that really helps us set ourselves up for a good post-emergence program, particularly when we're dealing with some of the glyphosate-resistant weeds.
That's Christy Sprague, weed extension specialist at Michigan State. While that pre-emerge herbicide didn't get the rainfall it needed to do the best job, Sprague explains it still did a job.
Yes, because if you look at our what we would consider ones that don't have a pre versus something that does have a pre, we are seeing some benefits to it. It's not what we would what we would see if we had a good 3/4 of an inch to an inch of rain within that first 7 to 10 days. But in general, we are still seeing some activity from those pre-emergence herbicides.
Farmers and agronomists from Indiana and Ohio also made their way to the MSU Weed Tour to see the different trials on display. Sprague says most of their post-emerge applications were done in the past couple of weeks, and those farmers were looking for help in making decisions for next year.
One of the things that's kind of a highlight of this year, I don't know if it's a highlight or a low light, but with the lack of moisture that we've had, a lot of our soil applied products didn't work as well. So they're really looking at some of those post-emergence different programs to see how well they're cleaning up some of those plots.
Sprague says you need to keep an eye out for water hemp, Palmer amaranth, and mare's tail that can come up later in the season. You might need a cleanup application for those.
Someone else who might have some insight for us on weeds and how our weather is affecting our yards, our gardens right now, is Jerry Samulski from Bay Landscaping and Garden Center. Jerry, good morning.
Good morning. What a perfect tie-in with Christy. I was going to talk today about crabgrass in lawns in particular has really gotten pretty voracious right now. Fortunately, we have new herbicides out, and again, I don't know what all the trade names are, but it's quinclorac is the active ingredient. So if you look that up, and you got to bring your glasses when you go to the store and look at active ingredient, you find a herbicide with quinclorac. Now is the time to be spraying it before it gets too big and too hard to control. It works really well. It won't kill your other grasses, but it does control crabgrass. And now is a great time to apply. With that hot, dry spell that we had, it was perfect conditions for crabgrass to grow. And now it's wet, it's taken off and starting to run.
Good advice, something to look out for. Jerry, you have a good day.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you. Jerry Samulski from Bay Landscaping and Garden Center. We'll be back after these notes.
How do you make the most of your land? Shaw does it behind the wheel of the John Deere 1025R compact tractor.
Why do I go by Shaw? Shaw stands for skilled hands at work.
And he lives up to the name as he uses his versatile tractor to
make my yard look as beautiful as I possibly can.
But the Hubbards use their 1025R to
do both vegetables and my flowers. It's exciting, putting yourself out there, learning something new.
And with a long list of easy-to-attach implements, ranging from a front loader to a box blade and backhoe, they both can make
The earth take the shape that I want it to take.
There are millions of ways to make the most of your land. How will you make the most of yours? Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a 1-Series tractor for just $130 per month at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
Contact one of Tri-County Equipment's 11 locations in Auburn Hills, Bad Axe, Birch Run, Burton, Caro, Fenton, Lapeer, Marlette, Reese, Saginaw, or Sandusky, or visit Tri-County Equipment online at tricountyequipment.com.
Farm Service brought to you today by the folks at Quality Roasting of Reese, purchasing local soybeans, processing the local beans, and marketing local Exceller meal, which is a high bypass soybean meal for your dairy herd. They've been doing that since 1991. Quality Roasting of Reese, offering competitive, consistent prices for your soybeans. Give them a call for a quote today. Farm Service brought to you today by the folks at Krizak's House Family Restaurant. If you've got to supply the food for an event coming up, and there's a lot of them I know, and you've got to supply the food, here's the number, 989-894-5531. You give them a call, tell them what you want. They'll prepare it, have it ready for you, take it back to your event, and you will be a hero at your event. Krizak's House, also a great place to dine in. Corner of Cass and Michigan on Bay City's south side.
We'll be back at 12:30 with an update, but for now, we conclude our program with the playing of the national anthem.